Saturday night, Keon Coleman did something that left everyone's jaws on the floor. You guys already know what I'm talking about, but that wasn't his best play of the night. It wasn't what surprised me or impressed me the most. He did something that completely proved Mike Norvell right. He did something that may have surprised me more than that ridiculous hurdle. That was probably the most shocking play in all of college football on Saturday. So let's set the scene. He was getting double teams all night, all attention his way, probably because of the way that he dominated the LSU game. I don't know if he was frustrated or not. It seemed like on the sideline in some of the quick shots, it's so hard to take a lot away from that, but it seemed like he might have been somewhat frustrated because it seemed like all that Southern Miss wanted to do was to keep Keon Coleman from beating them. And with Florida State having so many offensive weapons, so many playmakers, so many talented guys on the outside and in the backfield, you've got to try and take something away if you're a team that's severely undermatched. And they were doing a pretty good job of limiting Keon through most of the first half. But then he does get it going. Closer to halftime, has a couple of catches, has a couple of yards. He's getting things moving in the right direction. And there was a play that there was a late hit by a Southern Miss player out of bounds. That play wasn't called. Maybe the guy was coming in from the back. Maybe they just thought like, oh, he could have had the ball, and so he was trying to jar it loose. But I don't know how that's not called. And it seemed to motivate. It seemed to inspire Keon. Got up, brushed himself off, got back over, and shortly after that, play is drawn up, and a simple pass, an out route toward the sideline is tossed toward Keon on the right side of the field. He makes a quick move to get past his defender, and then he makes the most spectacular play of the week in all of college football. I don't care where SportsCenter ranks things. I don't care where ESPN has their top 10. This was ridiculous. Not only the hurdle, but the juke right before it to lose the initial defender. He takes the ball down inside the 5-yard line on a ridiculous hurdle play. The play showed something, but before we even get to that, did you see P-Dub and Snoop on the sideline? Did you see their reaction? Did you see how shocked they were? We got the video of that up, and we'll show it to you, but thanks for Charles Mays taking this picture. It caught a couple of legends in absolute shock on the sideline with one of the most ridiculous plays that you're ever going to see. Keon's an athletic freak. He has an insane talent. He's an unreal player. I don't think any of us ever doubted that. I think we knew what we were getting when we beat out Ole Miss for the Michigan State transfer. But what's impressive, what's more impressive than him being him, as you've heard in some Battles End videos, is what happened later. Now, Florida State ends up rewarding Keon with the touchdown on the very next play. A nice play fake that got him his 4th touchdown of the season. And I was glad that they were able to reward him for that, since he got tackled just short of that end zone. But what happened next is absolutely what surprised me the most. Up 31-3, Florida State kicked off in the second half, and after a 3-and-out, they got the ball back. They hadn't played their sharpest game, but still led by 4 touchdowns, and they were still very much covering the spread at halftime of 17 points. That was the halftime spread. Don't ask me how I know that. Trey Benson ran on the second play of the Noles' first drive and busted a run off to the left side and was getting close to the end zone. And that's where Keon Coleman surprised me. That's where he almost shocked me. I got up out of my seat and screamed at the hurdle, but I was jacked up about this. As you're watching it right now, what was Keon doing? He was blocking downfield. He was engaged. He was still working his tail off, and he was creating the lane that got Trey into the end zone. Now, do the Noles end up maybe scoring on this anyway? Very good chance. Do the Noles have a great chance to get into the end zone without the block? Absolutely. But that's not important. The Noles are probably going to score on that drive one way or the other. They were so solid in the second half. They were so sharp. But I don't think that matters. The fact that you have a likely first-round draft pick, one of the most talented guys, most athletic guys on the team, busting his butt up 4 touchdowns in the second half against a terrible, I won't say terrible, against an opponent that should not even be on the same field as you, speaks to so much. It speaks to the culture. It speaks to the buy-in. It speaks to Norvell's preaching taking hold. Here's what I can't guarantee, but what I do believe happened. I believe that FSU got their butts chewed out by Mike Norvell at halftime. I haven't confirmed that. I haven't spoken with Norvell. I haven't asked this. I don't know that he'd release it anyway. They were up 31-3, but they just hadn't played as well as they should have. It was a short week. There are a lot of reasons. They were down some starters. I get it. But they just weren't super crisp. I'm not one of these guys that's super negative on the team or anything. I know there's a popular trend to be negative after you win 66-13. That's not me. But I think we can all admit they weren't playing as crisp as they should have. And now if you're a star player, how many times are you out there busting your butt, blocking downfield, doing the little things in the second half of a game that you're up by 4 touchdowns and your opponent is Southern Miss? I don't know. Maybe it happens more often than I think. Maybe I'm making too big of a deal of it, but maybe not. I don't think you see that often. If Keon wasn't 25 yards downfield and blocking his butt off and creating the lane for Benson to get into the end zone, nobody says anything. Nobody notices it. Nobody remembers. Nobody's looking back and saying, oh, Keon only went 15 yards downfield. Everybody else was still back downfield. Everybody else was still near the line of scrimmage. Nobody would have been shocked. Nobody would have called Keon out specifically. Nobody would have said, hey, Keon Coleman was kind of loafing on this play. Nobody at all. But that didn't matter. Keon didn't do it because he knew he could get away with it. He was downfield blocking and creating that lane for Benson to get in the end zone because he buys into what Norvell's selling. He buys into the team-first mentality. Even as a guy who's probably going to be a first-round draft pick, maybe the first or second wide receiver taken overall, he still buys in to what matters most. I mentioned this last night on our live. Culture gets talked about when your team stinks a lot. Hey, guys, we got to change the culture. Hey, guys, at least we're doing the right things. Hey, guys, at least we're not quitting. Hey, guys, at least we're moving in the right direction. Culture gets talked about a ton. But you know when culture doesn't get talked about? When you're winning. Culture doesn't get talked about when you're doing what you're supposed to do on the field. Culture is a crutch when your team stinks. We talked about culture a lot the first 2 years of this regime. A ton. Florida State won 8 games in 2 years. And so we bragged on culture. Hey, at least Mike's doing things the right way. Hey, at least guys aren't quitting. Hey, at least they're trying to bounce back from Jackson State. Hey, or Jacksonville State. Hey, at least they're working their butts off at 0-4. We talked about that a lot. Hey, they battled against Florida. Hey, they found a way to upset Miami. Hey, they forced Notre Dame into overtime. We talked about culture. But culture matters even when you're winning. And culture proves something with the Mike Norvell regime. It proves something with this team and this program that's really, really important. And that's that culture matters when you're winning too. If not, you end up with things like that happen at UF with Swamp Kings. You end up with guys that the inmates are running the asylum, maybe is the best way to put it. Maybe a fitting pun thinking about that Swamp Kings team. But culture is important. And Keon Coleman proved that here. He proved that him coming here wasn't just what Florida State could do for him. It was what he could do for Florida State. He proved that he had something to offer as well. And not just an on-the-field offering. Not just, I'm going to be the best wide receiver every game that I play in. He proved that his work and his effort and his mentality and his buy-in and his determination were exactly what Mike Norvell's looking for. There are recruits and there are transfers that Mike Norvell and this staff have not even given a second look because they won't do what Keon Coleman did on Saturday night. And again, this play that we're talking about, this video that we're making, this incredible display of buy-in, effort, culture, and want to, it's not going to get the love and hype that the hurdle gets. It's not going to get the Florida State football team making a replay and an edit with the he's not real lady. It's not going to make SportsCenter's top 10. It's not going to be on Keon Coleman's potential Heisman hype video if he's going to be there in New York later in the year, which I think he's got a chance to potentially be a finalist. He's going to have to put up some ridiculous numbers. I think he's going to put up some ridiculous numbers. But it's not going to be on any of that. This play will be forgotten in a week. Maybe you didn't even notice it until now this video came out. But to me, it was so much more important than the hurdle. It was so much more important than anything else that I saw on Saturday night. It proved that the stars are willing to come in and do the little things. Nobody would have been shocked if the homegrown 3-star that Florida State took 2 cycles ago was out there working his tail off and blocking his butt off to try and move things forward. Because that's what you have to do when you're that guy, right? That's what you have to do when you're the under-recruited, doubted, low on the roster guy. You don't have to do that when you're wide receiver 1 at a lot of places. You just don't. That's probably a reflection on our society, but you just don't. But Keon Coleman did that. And to me, that is so much more impressive. That is so much bigger than the hurdle. Is it as exciting as the hurdle? Did I scream the same way? I was pretty hyped about it, just to let you know. But no, I didn't. But in retrospect, it was the most important thing that I saw on Saturday night, and it wasn't even close. Hey, I want to give a big shout out to my guy, Paul Aloisi Jr. of Renegade Sports Entertainment. He's got several guys that he reps that play professionally, including some of our former Noles. He helped out in a massive way at our tailgate, which we're showing you a video of right now. He really helped out with a lot of the alcohol, and I know you guys had a good time with that. Some of you more than others, including myself. But I wanted to give him some love. Make sure that you give them a follow on Instagram. It's renegade_sports_ENT. It's Renegade Sports Entertainment. I'll link his Instagram in the description. But if you came out to Orlando and you had a good time and you partied with us, or if you're coming to any tailgates, I'd love for you to meet Paul. Great guy. He was out there. He helped us a ton with the tailgate. And so I wanted to give him this special shout out as we wrap up today's video. Hey guys, I appreciate you a ton for watching this. I appreciate the growth of this channel. I'm very thankful that we went up over 10,000 subs. I want to continue to grow. I think the next goal is to get that up over 20 and get on the plus side of that number. So thank you guys for your support. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you missed our recap of that Southern Miss game, you want to see that video of me and Richie breaking it all down, you can click right here to check it out.